Coach Steve Spurrier.
Okay, it's obviously an honor to be the last two teams, one of the last two teams playing this week. To won the division and have an opportunity to play Auburn, who won their division for the SEC championship, is what all of our teams in our conference hope can happen. So we're excited that we're in our first SEC championship game, and our guys are really looking forward to it. Obviously, Auburn has had a magical year. They won all their games. They seem to really play well when the game's on the line, offense, defense, and so forth. So we got to play very well, but we're looking forward to the challenge and seeing if we can play our best game of the year. As coaches, we always hope that our guys improve as the season progresses and that we can put our best game together at the end. So that's what we're trying to do this week, and we'll find out Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening in Atlanta. Should be a heck of a game, and we're looking forward to the challenge. Okay.
Steve, after the Alabama win, you didn't really want to talk big picture. Even after Florida, you were kind of like, okay, now we got Troy next week. This week, with the SEC title game here, is it any more gratifying that you were able to accomplish what you set out to do, or at least be in this direction when you came here in 2000?
Yeah, well, this is obviously the goal is to win the SEC, not just to go to Atlanta, but to win the SEC some year, and we have a chance. We have a chance this year. We know that. Our guys know that. But the important thing is that our players really set some lofty goals this year. They set some goals that a lot of people may would have laughed at the beginning of the season. I think we were picked, fourth in the Eastern Division. But anyway, that's why you play football. That's why you play football. I read something the other day that Alabama was picked first in the nation, and they ended up fourth in the Western Division, as it turned out. And they still had a heck of a team, but they lost 3 games. But it can happen, and of course Florida was picked to win our division, so they had a difficult year too. So anyway, we're excited to be there, and our guys just felt like with our schedule, we had a good schedule this year. And Auburn had an excellent schedule also. They had 8 home games. Their road games were at both the Mississippis and Kentucky. Our road games were at Vandy and lost one at Kentucky. And our schedule actually set up pretty well for us this year also. So anyway, we're happy to be where we are, and we haven't finished the season at all yet. And our guys are really looking forward to this game, and we got to block a lot better than we did last week. And a lot of guys that didn't have their best game last week got to play much better if we're going to have a chance to beat Auburn.
Coaches, is there any benefit to playing the same team a second time, or is it a wash because they get the same benefit playing you a second time?
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't. I know they've done the studies on the game, and I've been involved with losing twice and winning twice, and I've also been involved with losing and winning. So obviously if you win the second one, that's the most important one. We were just watching the tape of our first game with Auburn, and I said now that we've won the division and they've won their division, that the loss was not, well, it was important, but we would still been in the same position we're in now with the chance to win the conference championship. And whereas Auburn, I guess they could have lost one game and still been the champs on the western side. And of course they still have the national championship picture that we don't. So we're in about as good a shape as we could expect to be, and we're thrilled with the opportunity to go compete for the SEC championship.
Steve, the running game during the first game against Auburn was kind of, I guess, knocked off track early. How do you guys plan to really kind of kickstart it this week and get past that defensive front?
Well, obviously we can't give you the game plan here at the press conference, but we certainly can't run right up the middle, no gain like we did at Auburn. They did some good things, and Clemson did some good things. We couldn't match those guys much at all. So whatever we do, we've got to try to find a way to stay on the field. We can't expect our defense to hold them to 7 points, although That would be super if we could, but Auburn, they're the number one team in the conference on offense. Sort of interesting, a lot of our statistics as far as what winners do are similar as far as third down conversions. We're 1 and 2 in that category. Defensively, they're good against the run. They haven't been great against the pass, and that's about the way we've been a lot this year also. Very good against the run. I think we're first against the run. I think they may be, they're second. They're second in rush defense. So a lot of similarities, and but I think it's going to come down to the team that plays the best, plays with the fewest turnovers, fewest crucial errors. Team makes the big plays, and so far they've had a knack of making a big play every game, and a few games we've not quite done that, but every game I do believe stands on its own merit, and we'll see how this one plays out.
Steve, it seems like you've always kind of thrived on championships and championship games. Is that just your nature? What does that come from?
Well, that's what every coach, I think, should shoot for, is once you start the season, if you're in a conference, which almost everybody is now, you got a chance to win some kind of championship. Actually, every team in the SEC, you have the division, the SEC, and if you're fortunate enough to get in the national, we got a shot at it. But realistically, your division and the SEC is something that I think most all of the schools that feel like they have any chance at all, that's what we shoot for. And gives the players something to rally around or talk about through the summer, through all the workouts and so forth they go through. And that's why I really like our division play. If you do well enough to win your division, you get to play for the championship. You don't have to rely on how sports writers vote or how the other coaches vote. You just go play for it. And that's really the nature of all sports, is it is settled on the field. And that's what the SEC does with this championship game.
Steve, we saw Stephen yesterday wearing a sling or a brace or something. Does that look worse than it actually is, or how's he feel?
Yeah, his left shoulder sort of got banged up in the game the other night. And obviously he went ahead and finished it, but our trainer, Clint Haggard, felt like it was best to rest him. And I think he's going to rest again today. I don't think he's going to try to pitch around much at all. But I think tomorrow they're going to try to let him go throw and run and so forth. But he should be fine by Saturday night.
And the brace is just precaution. So.
That's for his left shoulder. Yeah, just keep it in place there.
Coaches, has your team developed after the Arkansas game? Has your team developed maybe a little bit of a swagger, maybe, and does that reflect? I mean, any of your Florida teams have anything like that, or did they compare at all?
No, our team just has had a plan, and we like all coaches, we talk about our plan one game at a time, but also here's next week and here's the next weeks as we go down the list there. So we have not, after some nice wins at Florida and at Clemson, I don't think we've gotten full of ourselves the way we have in the past. I really sense that our guys have not overly celebrated. We may have a little bit after the Alabama game, I'm not sure. But we were really, I still say we were ready to play at Kentucky. But second half, we just went bad. We went bad. I mean, you might could say Alabama went bad the second half against Auburn. Sometimes you go bad and you don't realize, well, gosh, how did that happen, or this happen, or that happen? Alabama obviously was ready to play too, but some games it's hard to figure out exactly what causes you to go bad. Obviously, Marcus got hurt that second half, did not play. But anyway, it was just, and Kentucky played very well and just beat us. But fortunately, that game did not hurt us as the season progressed. Maybe we learned something from it, I don't know, about finishing games and so forth. But right now, it doesn't, the only thing that matters, there's two of us playing for the championship. And that's what you shoot out to do when the season begins.
Back here, Coach. Coach, two-part question. First, talk about the significance of playing for an SEC championship for this school that's only won one conference championship, and also getting your players focused. How are you keeping them focused on the big game Saturday?
Well, we all know the significance. We all know it hasn't happened before, and all this, that, and the other. But that's not going to help us win the game. Talking about that, we're trying to talk about how we need to play it and to give ourselves the best chance to be successful in the game. I had a friend of mine telling me how big it would be if we were to win, and I said, "Now listen, you don't think I don't know all that? I mean, we didn't arrive yesterday. We've been here for a while. We know our history." And we know all that, but just, wishing it's going to happen or this, that, and the other is not going to help us beat these guys. We got to go play our game, play our brand of ball, get our best players involved, and give our team best chance to be successful, play the entire night, and see what happens. That's all we can do right there.
With a player as uniquely talented as Newton, is there an advantage to playing him a second time? The fact that he presents so many problems, your guys have seen that, it's not new to them.
I don't know that it's an advantage or not. We got to tackle him. We got to sort of maintain your position. He's an excellent cutter with the ball. I mean, he can juke a guy, and you're not going to get a hard shot at him hardly at all. He knows how to get down and get forward and so forth. So he's a power runner, and yet he can sidestep you in a heartbeat also. And really, they beat Alabama throwing the ball. He's a good passer. He's really improved his passing, I think, since he left Florida. I don't know if the junior college guys worked with him or who worked with him, but his throwing is really good. And that's how they beat Alabama, was the 3 touchdown passes.
Back here again, Coach.
You've coached in this game 7 times before, had some tough years the last few years at South Carolina. Was there ever a point where you did not think you would be back in the SEC championship game?
Oh, I didn't think if I would or would. I thought we would someday here, certainly. You got to believe you got a shot at it, and it worked out this year. And again, we had some good fortune. We know that. Florida and Georgia didn't have their typical years, and Tennessee was down a bit, I guess. But we've got a good team. We've not won a lot of squeakers at all. I think our margin of victory, closest margin of victory was 11 points against Georgia. So we played well in our wins, and our losses we've not had good games. So we need to have one of those real good games, and sometimes you just hope your opponent doesn't have a very good game.
Steve, most other years you'd probably be pulling for an SEC team to win a national championship, and it looks like this year you guys you're out to ruin the SEC's chance at championship. Kind of odd, huh?
Oh, we don't think about that. No, we're not worried about anybody but South Carolina. South Carolina's our school, our state, our team, and we're trying to win our first conference championship, and that's the only thing we need to concern ourselves with for sure.
Coach, have you ever seen a youngster such as Marcus Lattimore take care of the ball the way he does?
Yeah, Marcus has got strong hands, obviously, and protects himself. And normally they don't get a real hard hit on him. Normally he has a way of protecting the ball. He knows how to hold it correctly, keep it close to his body, and so forth. So we got to give him a little running room this week. First game, we didn't give him much running room, and last week there was not much room at all. He had a couple of 8-yard runs. I think that was it. So it was some tough sledding. So hopefully we can have a little bit better plan maybe and block a little bit better for him to create some running lanes, because we struggled last week.